Ridiculous questions.
Meticulously debated.
This is Tell Me I'm Wrong.
Well, I was happy just last night. I've been losing sight. Sighting all the falling fights. What is this if this ain't right? Back again, the monster rights. Losing life until that night. Life will never let him lie. Light is my far past his way.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Tell Me I'm Wrong kitchen. I am your host, Alton Bland. No, I am Bland, but I am Joseph. I will be the moderator tonight.
Alton Bland. Man, I can't decide if I'm disappointed or excited. I'm Ryan. I'll be debating.
I'm Josh, and I will be debating and your star chef.
Ooh. So you said I can't decide if I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I'm just I can't decide if I'm disappointed or not in Alton Bland, but it is clever. I'll give it to you.
I can't decide if I'm disappointed or not should be the title of this podcast.
Tell me I'm disappointed. So, as Tell Me I'm Wrong listeners, we've talked a lot about stuff we enjoy, things we like to watch, things we like to read, listen to, whatever. I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch probably too much wrestling. My wife would tell you I watch too much wrestling. But if we're not watching wrestling, we're watching like one or two types of shows. We enjoy shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or How I Met Your Mother, something along that, like stupid, funny comedies that you can check out for.
I always call them background comedies. You can just kind of have them on.
That's like that's a great definition of them. Background comedies. How I Met Your Mother, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Seinfeld, Friends sucks. I'm never gonna like it. Quit trying. But the other show that we really, really like is cooking shows, which I know every other married couple out there watches cooking shows.
We are a Beat Bobby Flay family, as well as Great British Baking Show family.
Beat Bobby Flay? What kind of phony ass show are you watching?
So great.
Yeah, he was on Entourage, and he seemed like just the biggest douche on that show, which I know he's a character.
Is, but it's a great show.
But I couldn't help but think, I think this is how Bobby Flay is in real life.
Yeah.
He tried to fight Jeremy Piven's character, and I was like, I kind of want to watch that.
I think he's had 4 wives.
That seems right. So we're big fans of Chef Robert Irvine.
Yeah, we know. You brought him up before.
Pasta. But I love the cooking shows where like, not I guess the all-time cooking show was like what was that one where they had the show where they had like the master chefs and they had a chef come in and cook for an hour?
That's like all of them.
Iron Chef was the what I'm thinking of. I really like the shows where they have to like Guys Grocery Games, Cutthroat Kitchen. Those are my favorite cooking shows. Like where it's just like
Guy
four
Fieri
dudes off the street
being mentioned.
Well, Cutthroat Kitchen's Alton Brand.
Oh, I know.
Now, I love these shows too. It is among my favorite genres of television show. Between that and home renovation shows,
yeah, we'll watch
they're
those
at the top.
too.
Now, I love Cutthroat Kitchen. I love Chopped. Can never be on them because I'm always just watching them with astonishment at what they create.
I can't get into Chopped because of the host.
The host. Wait, Ted?
I
love Ted Allen.
Ted is the best.
Ted is great.
And his voice is weird.
His voice is great. Okay, I will not stand for Ted Allen slander. He is one of my favorite Food Network
His voice
hosts.
is weird, but you like Guy Fieri?
Yeah.
I'm not slandering him. Guy Fieri seems like he reminds me of family from Eastern Kentucky for some reason, so it works out. But I'm not saying he's bad. Like I've tried. I just can't get into that show. We've talked about Gordon Ramsay in the past. I like Gordon Ramsay, but
MasterChef is I think the best overall cooking show.
I feel like I watched the same episode 5 times in a row. It's always the same. Like at least with Cutthroat Kitchen, I like that it's 4 random people and like they like sabotage each other and talk trash, and I appreciate that.
I don't love Cutthroat Kitchen, and this is getting into like really specific about cooking shows, but who cares?
Guys, we got to burn an hour here, so we're good.
It's our show. But sometimes I don't like Cutthroat Kitchen because sometimes the disadvantages that they give are like way too hard. It's like you can't use the oven, and I'm like, okay, come on.
I know, but I kind of like that, and the best part about it is you all could back me up on this if you've ever seen it. Whenever something goes wrong, how is it they describe their dish to the judge?
Deconstruct it.
Deconstructed or rustic?
Yeah.
I went with a rustic grilled cheese. That's why it's not on a piece of bread. I just rolled up in a tortilla and lit it with a big lighter.
In many ways, this is a deconstructed comedy podcast, if you look at it that way.
Yeah, we take the
fair.
comedy out, and then we talk about things, and then you insert your own comedy as you're listening.
It's rustic.
Yeah, it's rustic. Rustic podcasts.
So
It's a new genre.
I wanted to do a cooking channel show, and we've had a request from these guys and a girlfriend of the show
Shout out.
to do a Pokemon episode. Erica Smith, shout out, Josh's wonderful girlfriend, definitely his better half. We would take her over him 9 times out of 10.
100%.
I'm 50-50.
50-50. That's really sweet. Well, it depends. If we're watching wrestling, she kind of just, after I talk about it for so long, she just looks at me like I don't care anymore. Well, Josh will just at least pretend like he cares.
See, now that makes me lean towards Erica because I don't care. While you maybe while you guys watch wrestling, I will go talk to Erica about eyes and stuff.
Well, she watches it. I just think I talk to her too much about it. But my wife just wanted guys.
Erica plays coy, but she's a fan.
The other night, she just goes, "Can we just not talk about wrestling tonight? I'd really appreciate it if you just didn't bring it up." And I was like, "Do I talk about it that
Erica,
much?"
this episode is for you. Pokemon is here and it's here to stay.
Hey, listen, I was trying to get there. So we want to do a Pokemon episode, but it'd be real easy to talk about who our favorite Pokemon is or who would you want to go on a date with.
Would that
or
be
something
easy for
like
you,
that.
Joe?
No, because background, I do not like Pokemon. I looked at who all these guys picked. I did not know one of them. I remember Pikachu, and I think there was one called Squirtle.
Yep.
And I think it was Charizard.
Yep.
And there was a big fat one that would fall in front of your screen when you played Super Smash Brothers. But I don't remember his name.
Josh Ballard.
Snorlax, is that what you said? That sounds right.
Snorlax.
Yeah. So Pokemon was, I remember I was in 6th grade when it first started to go. I bought a pack of Pokemon cards and I think I threw them away that night because I thought they were the dumbest thing in the world. I just never got into it.
Now, I have a much different background with Pokemon.
I was going to say, I do too.
Because I grew up on the stuff.
You guys are also 3 years younger than me, though, right?
Yeah, it's a generational difference.
Yeah.
So I collected the cards.
Same.
I was into the television show. I dressed up
There's
as
a TV
Brock
show?
along with my cousin and my sister.
The TV show, the anime is it's like actually one of the best animes. It's really good.
I didn't even know there was a TV show.
Ash
Yeah.
Ketchum?
Who's Ash?
There's motion pictures.
Yeah, there's like 3 movies at least.
The first time I cried in a film was when Ash died and the Pokemon brought him back to life with their tears.
Hey,
Yeah.
I can tell you the first time I cried in a movie.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about Pokemon. Keep going, Josh.
Mighty Joe Young. First movie that made me cry.
Valid. Charlize Theron at her best.
When he falls off that Ferris wheel, tears were shed. Anyways, continue your Pokemon and whoever Ash is. I thought that was a horror movie. Ash versus Evil Dead.
Ash Ketchum is the Pokemon trainer that is the trainer of Pikachu.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Go on, Josh, Brian, whatever y'all want to say. I remember Pokemon. I know Pokemon Go. I had that downloaded for like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So my girlfriend, she's currently and I say currently as if she hasn't been into it like the entire time we've been dating, very into Pokemon Go.
I will vouch for this.
Obsessed with it.
I remember asking when Josh first met. I take that back. Listeners, let me take you on a story here. Josh is known, dated, been with Erica for what decade is it? Well, not in this decade. It was pre this decade. I think it would have started back in 2019, 2020 time. So. But he didn't tell us about it for the longest time.
Maybe a little bit
night
before that.
Beat it for him. But anyways, when we met her finally, we realized she did exist. We're still waiting on Ryan's wife. But I remember she was like, well, because Josh and I go to the same church. And we were like, well, you should come to church with us. And I no lie, the first time that I asked her, she goes, well, I'd like to, but my Pokemon Go group meets up on Sunday mornings. And I just don't know if I can miss that.
That is glorious.
I went, what? There's a group for that? And she's like, oh, yeah, we meet every week and go play Pokemon Go. And I was just baffled by this.
If it's any consolation, I am also constantly baffled by it. Most of the time, look, couples, you go out and people are always getting one person in the couple's always like, well, you just put your phone down. Why are you texting your friends? Why are you on Twitter? Why are you whatever? 90% of the time, if we're in the car driving somewhere and she's in the passenger seat and I look over, she's playing Pokemon Go because we are on the move. We are going. That's the whole point. And she is Pokemoning as we go. And it is something. Somehow I'm still here.
Josh, do you have
still
the app
very
downloaded
happy.
on your phone?
I do not. That's where I drew the line.
I got into Pokemon when it happened. So it was like, elementary school. I was always a big collecting kid. Like I liked to collect things as a kid. So I had a couple of different collections. So like that idea was very, very good to me. And so I did get rid of my Pokemon cards about 12 years too early, because if I had just held them a little longer, I could be making some money. But I really liked just the concept of it. Like, I don't know. It was the first trading card game that seemed like it was designed for kids. So I thought that was cool.
The Pokemon's probably something I definitely would have done had it came out when I was younger. It's just, I didn't get into it by the time that it grew to now. Like a friend of the show, Bo McMillan, huge Pokemon fan, still plays Pokemon Go to this day.
We talked about it, man.
We did. And I mean, like when we go, like when we could visit people, but when we would go visit him, he lives in the northern part of the state of Kentucky. We would go and we'll walk to Cincinnati and go do fun things like go to 16-bit or whatever. And he'll play Pokemon Go as we're walking and be like, oh, I just caught this Flim Flam, and I'm like, that restaurant
That's my
looks
favorite
good.
Pokemon, Flim Flam.
Now, I never got into Pokemon Go. There's not really like strategy to like I like the, you're matching up this type to this type and there's like thought to it. But with Pokemon Go, it's just kind of like, you just kind of tap. I don't know. I never got into the Pokemon Go phase.
My wife plays the Harry Potter version. I can't get in any of those games. I'm not going to leave my phone open for that long and just sit there and look. I just can't do it. I get bored. I have ADD, so I can't do it.
Just to update you all, I have received a text message from the other room.
Here it is.
Erica says, funny how I watch wrestling with you, but you don't Pokemon Go with me.
She's laying
So
down
we've
the law.
created an argument for Josh after this. Josh will be downloading the Pokemon Go app tonight.
Josh, go ahead and download it and start dropping lures so that she can get some Pokemon at your house.
I mean, I've played.
She's trying to Pokemon Go. I was Pokemon Go and steady, just trying to be in a nice, loving relationship.
That was so bad. It was good. Anyways, Ryan, you mentioned earlier there was 151 of the original Pokemon.
Technically 152. If you want to count
How can you keep
Mewtwo.
up with all of these things?
Well, that's just the first generation. So
Yeah, that's the thing is we didn't.
We didn't.
Yeah.
So when we were kids, there was just those. Like you just had those and you actually could collect them all. Like that was the point, was got to catch them all. And that's like the whole conceit. But now, like I think as we talked about when Bo was on the show, there are like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of all these different types. And it seems at some point there should be like a limit. I don't know. To me, it's like, it feels like there should be an end, but I guess they're just trying to ride that wave and, respect, chase that paper. But, but yeah, so I really, especially for this episode, and, I don't really know many beyond the first 153, but I really focused on the original first generation, the ones that we collected the cards of.
Just a quick Google search for the people at home. The first thing that comes up says, the first sentence goes, if so, this brings the total to 932 Pokemon. But it says the official count stands at 893. That is stupid. I remember I had Mortal Kombat 1, and then it came out Mortal Kombat 2, and they added 8 fighters, I think, to the game. And I was like, how am I going to learn all these new fighters?
Yeah, 893 seems a little bit overwhelming.
People need more hobbies. So, all right. So what we're going to do is their love for Pokemon, my love for cooking shows. Today, in the Tell Me I'm Wrong kitchen, we are playing our own version of Pokemon Kitchen. It's very similar to the format of Cutthroat Kitchen. They're going to, first segment, they're going to give me the ingredients they need to make their meal. The second segment, they're going to actually make their meal audibly for you all. We don't have a kitchen there. So they're going to describe the process of creating their meal. Then after the mod office, they have to present it to the judge. And that presentation, doesn't matter how good it tastes, could be the thing to make or break their meal. And there's key words I want to hear in this. So
before we get into that, I feel like we need to talk about our approach because I have some thoughts that I want to share.
Okay, that's fine.
So when I started looking at these, I had the thought of it probably wouldn't be a good idea. So, well, let me explain this to Joe first. So, Joe, there are different types of Pokemon. So there's grass type, fire type, water type, bug type. But there's also poison type and electric type. Now, I thought that those might be ones that we should stay away from for, consumption.
I will say if you kill your judge, it's hard for them to pick you as a winner.
So when I was looking at some options for what's going to really make the best Pokemon to eat, I tried to stay away from the poison and electric types. I also thought it might be weird if we tried to prepare any that kind of look like people. Like Mr. Mime is just kind of a dude.
I bet he's good at eating though.
And then you also got like Machamp, who is like literally just like he's got boxing gloves. Like I don't know. It just seemed weird to like chop up and eat a humanoid type Pokemon. I specifically
you and I are in different wavelengths here, clearly.
So
like I just think the marbling on some Mr. Mime would just be exquisite. It's like the perfect balance of fat and muscle. Just
how could you not eat this Mr. Mime? That looks like flavor pockets to the extreme.
Right?
Okay, well, I guess I was wrong. I should have gone that route.
I like that you're bringing this up that you excluded certain mythical creatures. I get the ones that could kill you, but it's like, well, I don't want to eat this race of mythical creatures, but I'll eat all these other ones that are like look like a dog. Oh, that's fine. We can eat that one. This one looks like my cat. I'm down for eating that. I want to put on a nice skewer.
Exactly.
So I like your thought process here. I don't understand it, but that's good.
Well, I did want to have one more exclusion, and that is Meowth, because he speaks human English, and anytime
that's where you draw the line.
I don't think I can draw the line at Meowth, who could literally talk to you while you're trying to kill him.
So what you're saying is that in the real world and in this Pokemon culinary world, is that where you draw the line is not, whether this is meat you should eat. It's whether they speak human language. So if you were to come across a humanoid figure like Mr. Mime who does not speak, wouldn't he then kind of classify as
it's
good
the gloves? It's the gloves. There's something about the gloved hand and
he's wearing shoes.
He's just too much like a dude.
I'll defend Ryan on this one because I think somewhere you do draw the line when what meats you choose to eat and which ones you don't is whether or not they have accessories. Like a collar on an animal, that's clearly a pet. That's not good eats. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a certain place where you have to say, I can't eat this. And I think it is when they start accessorizing.
I like that you didn't bring up Jinx. She has a perfect middle part like a typical Gen Zer. And
listen, I can't bring them all.
She
up.
looks
There's
like Carol Baskin.
She does kind of favor Carol Baskin. I wonder if the Tiger King would try.
I did
take
mention
her out.
the humanoids, so there are definitely several on there. I didn't mention them all, but Mr. Mime is the one that came to mind.
I prepared my dish with nothing but humans.
You didn't eat Pokemon that look like humans. Thank you, Hannibal Lecter.
Okay, so if Josh wants to go now, I just had to get that off my chest.
Josh, you could pick. You can go first or make Ryan go first. What do you want to do?
I will step in here and go first because I feel very confident about this. Now, I consider myself somewhat of a gourmand. I enjoy cooking. I enjoy fine dining. I enjoy dining out. I enjoy making nice meals at my home. I enjoy cooking shows as well, but I'm more in the vein of like a Ugly Delicious with David Chang or a show like Chef's Table, particularly the episode with Sean Brock, who is one of my heroes. I love Sean Brock. much respect to him. And so that's very much where I'm coming. So I wanted to approach my Pokemon dish from a fine dining elevated lens.
Before you go much further, I do want to corroborate your bougie cooking. Mm-hmm. There's been oftentimes that Josh has invited my wife and I over for dinner. This is pre-COVID. That he sat our food down. It looked delicious. He's told us what it is, and I had to lean over to my wife in a very and I go, "What is that? What are we eating?" And it's always really good, but I need her to explain to me what I'm about to consume, because
a second perspective on this.
There's words I don't know.
Josh, I will say, Josh is an excellent cook. I also consider myself a cook as well. I like to upscale some of my meals a little bit. I would not say that Josh is using any crazy extravagant ingredients.
I'm not saying he is. I never implied that. I'm just not I cook a lot of breakfast. I cook a lot of breakfast. I'm good at breakfast. Josh has had my breakfast. I cook killer breakfast.
It is a good breakfast.
So I just want to corroborate.
Interesting gravy, but good breakfast.
That was not my normal gravy, but Josh is a connoisseur of fine dining, is all I was trying to say.
So as I started thinking about my dish and where I wanted to start, I wanted to start with a nice protein. Now, I did not, although I talk a big game, I did not choose Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime filet was unavailable at my butcher. Sounds like it's a little bit scarce. So I wanted to do something that was a little bit different, too. I wanted something maybe a little bit gamey, something you wouldn't expect. So I went with a Pokemon that was new to me, and that is Stantler. Stantler is deer-like, has antlers. Something you would feel is pretty common. He's a normal type Pokemon, so that's always nice in your protein, something that's relatively common. And it is very rare. Stantler was possibly going extinct according to the Pokedex, but there are still enough of them around, so it cost me a pretty penny, but I had to get that. I think it'll add something really nice to the dish. Got a nice Stantler loin. It's going to be delicious. Now, Ryan mentioned that he wanted to stay away from poison type Pokemon. And while I understand that, I think he's missing out on some beautiful flavor profiles from a couple of these creatures. Now, I'm specifically talking about Pokemon that fall under the grass/poison type, because if you think about it, there are mushrooms and other foods that are only safe to eat if prepared properly. And we're certainly going to do that here on this show. So I went and purchased a beautiful array of Oddish. Now, Oddish is a very vegetable-like Pokemon. Maybe looks a little bit like a radish, like a blue radish, I guess.
Like kind of a mix between like an onion and a radish.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Like a spring onion.
While it is a poison-type Pokemon, I do feel like if prepared properly, Oddish would be delicious with this dish. It would add a nice flavor profile. I believe I'm going to serve it as a puree to accompany my Stantler loin. And then the last Pokemon that I have selected as a part of my main dish is going to be accompanied by a vegetable medley, mainly root vegetables, talking carrots, some onion, things along those lines. And that is Fungus, another grass poison type Pokemon, very mushroom like. I think if you prepared it with a nice sauce to go with the vegetable medley and the loin and the Oddish puree that we have, you're going to have a very varied dish that's going to have a very beautiful profile, plated nicely. I think they're going to pair very nicely together. To accompany that, as I mentioned, I'm going to buy some vegetables. I'm going to get a nice red wine, something that's kind of sweet, but maybe a little bit dry, maybe Merlot, somewhere in there. I could be talked if someone was filling it into something a little sweeter or significantly sweeter like a port, but I'm probably going to back it down to something a little bit dry just so we get some of that wine flavor. And then all the regular fixings. We got, some white vinegar, some other items that are really going to go into this sauce and make a beautiful dish.
Okay. I've Googled all your Pokemon. I do have some questions before we get to Ryan. Secondly, or first one, Stantler. Why does he have two butts?
That's a great question.
Is the steak coming from the second butt?
That second butt
no.
steak, I've heard such great things about that cut.
Yeah.
It looks succulent.
Now, I don't know the genesis of the
He
two
literally
butts.
looks like the reindeer we had in the reindeer talk about 5 months ago, but has a second butt.
Yeah. So the second butt does not play into this. That is a much more exotic cut of meat. They don't serve it at my butcher. I'm talking
it's like the
purely about the
Wagyu.
loin.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. That's some Wagyu Stantler right there. Is the second butt. Now the first butt is you don't eat that. That's not good. But the second butt that is good to eat.
Okay. And then why did you go with Odish as opposed to someone by the name of Vile Plume? Because who doesn't want to cook a good meal with the word vile in it?
Yeah, so the reason I didn't do that is Vile Plume's a evolution of Anish. And so it's the type of thing where, Anish usually hits the market at a pretty young age because that's when they can harvest the most of them, because they don't all eventually evolve into Vile Plume. Also, as they get older, the flavor becomes far too intense and bitter. And so if you get them earlier in their growth cycle in an oddish phase, it's got a much more kind of light taste to it that I think is a lot better to pair with Stantler or really any protein of Pokemon.
So if it's able to mature too much, it becomes kind of vile tasting. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, that's why it's called Vile Plume.
I gotcha. It's
also less poisonous as oddish than it is as Vile Plume.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, Ryan, let's hear what you're going with. I'm interested on Josh's and his second butt reindeer. So let's see what you're going to go with here.
Good old two butt Stantler. All right. Well, I immediately was drawn to the water types. Once I made my decision to kind of stray away from the poison and electric, I actually do have some poison type preparations that I will also talk about. But the primary protein that I really wanted to focus on was that of Gold Duck. Gold Duck is the evolution of Psyduck. And I really felt that as just a human person, I really enjoy a well-prepared duck. So Gold Duck seemed like a good way to go. I'm probably going to, I'll talk a little bit about this in my preparation portion, but I'm going to prepare it in a traditional fashion. For my shopping list, I will have cream, Gold Duck, Oddish and Weepin' Bell greens, lemons, onions, parsnips, mushrooms, a dry white wine. I will also be using Execute in my dish as well. And then in the seasoning section, I wanted to make sure that I got the Onyx season salt. It is very well mined out of the Onyx mines, and it's really kind of a brutal process, but it is a fantastic season salt to use, especially on something like duck where you need a really heavy seasoning.
I'm a big fan of seasoned salt myself, so I'm here for that. Some questions that came to mind. First off, looking at Gold Duck, as you called him, to me, that looks like if you took the pterodactyl from the Jurassic Park Lost World and the character from Power Rangers Goldar, and they had a love child, you get Gold Duck.
Now, the interesting thing about Gold Duck is it is a little bit more of a darker meat than you might get from a Psyduck, but because of that, you do get a little bit more marbling. It's a little bit more difficult to prepare, but I really find that darker blue hue tends to lead to more flavor if properly developed.
Is the steak gonna be blue, or I guess the breast? Is that what you're preparing? I'm just trying to prepare myself.
That is just the outer skin of the Gold Duck. Just as a duck is not mallard colored on the inside.
Is mallard a color?
I don't know. I just went with it.
I literally was like, "Oh, is mallard a color?" Okay,
Made sense.
So
Everybody knew what I meant.
No, I gotcha. All right, so the shopping's done. Let's go ahead and get into the cooking portion. So what I need you to do is I need you to go through a few things for me. How you prepare your dish, if there's any special like spices or any like special touches you want to add, Or you could even save those if you have something that like maybe you think during the preparation area will put you over the edge. You could save it for then as well. I need to know why you chose that particular Pokemon. Like what part of that meat, and you may have covered this some in the shopping, but like what makes you excited to cook with that Pokemon? And I do think the Pokemon should be the feature part of your meal. Like how do you plan to feature that piece in your meal and make sure it stands out above everything else?
Absolutely. So in preparing my delicious dish here, the first thing that I'm going to do, and a key component of my dish, is a sauce that is going to be a beautiful companion to my Stantler loin. This sauce is going to be made with a few ingredients, primarily Stantler bones, to get a nice kind of brothy, good Stantler venison taste into it. That's going to be paired with a little bit of tomato paste, some carrot and celery and onion, and then a little bit of olive oil and the red wine that I mentioned earlier. And we're just going to let that simmer the entire time that I'm cooking, because we want those flavors to develop. We want it to have a nice like base to it, and I want it to be able to be the big flavor punch that accompanies the venison.
You need to kind of marry together.
Yeah, you got to really let those kind of meld together and get in there and make love to each other in the pot.
Get in there all deep like.
Now, after we get that going, the next biggest thing we got to do is we got to get this Oddish puree going, because that's going to be something that can be prepared. The Stantler loin doesn't take a super long time to prepare, so I want to make sure that my puree is doing the same. The flavors are marrying, and it's getting together in the pot and really getting in there. So I'm going to take my Oddish.
You're boiling the grass, I guess, is what it would be like.
No, so the Oddish has some greenery coming up off the top. That's getting tossed out. We don't need that. We just need the body of the Oddish. And so that's going to be tossed into a boiling pot of water to cook that and to get the smile off of its face. And then once we pull those out, we're going to make sure that we put them in a pot. We're going to take an immersion blender, and we're going to break those up and start beginning the process of getting our puree together. While we're breaking them up, we're going to throw in some butter, some garlic, and then as it starts really loosening up, we're going to put in some room temperature cream cheese and just a little bit of salt, pepper, and maybe some Parmesan, just for a little, salty, savory bite in there. And we're going to blend that all together and let that sit and thicken and just kind of meld together while we prepare our vegetables and our Stantler loin.
So I just want a quick question. I need to confirm this. Are you implying that the Oddish was alive when you began the cooking process? Like, did any of you all choose
best flavor?
Any live Pokemon live creatures that you planned on to kill on national television?
Execute will be killed on national television as I crack it open and use it.
Wow. The Execute name really just is perfect. The Oddish were indeed live. It preserves the flavor, and I realize that it's harsh, and especially with something as cute as Oddish. But sometimes that's just the way cooking goes, especially with Pokemon. Now, the Stantler loin, Stantler's a big animal. I didn't want to take that on by myself. Oddish, if they get unruly, it's going to take hundreds of those things to take me down. Whereas with Stantler, it would just take one. So I let the butcher take care of that. The folks that hunted it and harvested that animal, I had no interest in that. Fungus, I feel like that could go either way. Personally, I already got them as the mush. Once you pick a fungus and it's out of the ground, it's a little less alive than like an Oddish, which has feet. So it's, Oddish are meant to roam. Fungus is not.
Very fair. Fair enough. I just wanted to verify you were going to massacre a live creature on national television.
Yep. So now that I got my sauce and my puree going, we're going to cut up some vegetables, some, root vegetables, like I said, carrots, onions. We're going to get some of that fungus in there. We're going to roast those off and make sure that they just get nice and soft in the oven there. And that's when we're going to begin preparing our Stantler loin.
Okay. Well, let's let you work on that. Ryan, what are you getting started on?
All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break down my whole gold duck into a little bit more manageable pieces.
Are you executing the duck on live television?
How big is a gold duck?
It is 5 feet tall. I just looked it up. So
God,
That's
it
a
would be so
big-ass
good
duck.
if you just walk, if the camera just pans over and Ryan just raises a meat cleaver up and just chops the duck's head off like Christmas Story style.
So it is already broken down a little bit, but I'll be working with a half gold duck.
That's still 2.5 feet of gold duck.
Yeah,
that's a lot of gold duck.
The sound people on the show are just gonna love hearing you just like crack and break and beat the tar out of this animal and his bones.
Those happen on television too.
I don't know if I could watch a show with some chef just like and just
first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a gold duck reduction a little bit. I'm gonna have that in a pot. I'm gonna let that reduce a little bit with some onions and the parsnips and a little bit of white wine in there just to let that reduce. I want that to reduce way down so I can really get that flavor out of those feet. Then the next thing that I'm gonna have to do is gold duck does take a while to cook, and you really want to render that large fat side down. So I'm gonna start on that first. So I'm gonna heavily season with the Onyx seasoned salt, a little bit of pepper, get a nice amount of oil and butter in the pan, and make sure I get that really seared off well. I'm going to finish.
How are you preparing it?
So this will be a seared gold duck, finished in the oven so that it will roast, and I will baste a little bit with some of the reduction that I'm going to be making.
Like in the cast iron?
Will probably be more of a stainless steel preparation, as that's best for the fat that is on this gold duck. So I'll be starting with that. That'll be the first thing, because I really need to get that fat rendered first and make sure it's in the oven so it can slowly roast the whole time. The next thing I'm going to be working on will be really the vegetables. So as the reduction is working, I'm going to be cutting up some mushrooms as well as some additional onions and putting those in the pot. I don't want them to cook too long. I really just want that reduction to go and then to get some of that flavor onto the onions. And so I'm going to glaze those in a pan and then also roast those as well. So that's going to be the primary part of the dish. I will also be finishing with a little bit of Oddish and Weepenbell greens. So it's going to be like a little bit of a small salad dressed with some lemon and some olive oil. So that'll be a little bit more of a plate dressing, but it's also going to be there for a little bit of freshness to lighten the dish up.
Okay, Josh. Go ahead and tell us how you prepared your steak, and then sirloin, whatever you said it was, and then kind of your final details to wrap the dish up.
So to prepare the star of this dish, I really wanted to do a method that provides a very, in the limited time we have, I want to give it the time it needs to properly cook inside and get to the temperature it needs to, while also providing it a beautiful sear at the end. So I'm going to reverse sear the Stantler loin. I'm going to start with a sous vide method of cooking. So we're going to have a water bath.
Joe knows what that means.
With our sous vide. So sous vide is, I'll explain it. So we're going to place our Stantler loin into a vacuum sealed bag. We're going to seal that tight with some olive oil, some salt, a little bit of fresh pepper. And we're going to seal those flavors in there. And then we're going to place it into our water bath for about 20 minutes. Allowing the heat from the water in the sous vide to cook this piece of meat before we take it out, remove the seal, and then take that loin, and we're going to place it in just absolutely, and I've got to use the proper term because this is how you do it, a ripping hot cast iron. We're going to place that loin down there, and we're going to sear every side of it and make sure that it's got a nice crispy crust to accompany the beautifully cooked interior. As we're doing that, we're going to toss in a little bit of butter and some olive oil and some herbs and just kind of gently toss that over it and baste the meat as it's finishing up, just to add a nice little flavor to the outside of the piece of meat as well. And then we're going to take that off and let it rest for just a little bit. Let that temperature kind of come down a little bit, make it a little bit better for our judges before I plate this and present it to them and win this battle.
Okay. Ryan?
All right. So the most important part, obviously, is the star of the dish, the gold duck loin that I'm going to be working with. So the focus will be on that, making sure I'm checking the temperature as it comes out. I'll be slicing that and making sure that it gets on the plate, and I'll describe that plating later. I will also be making sure that those vegetables get done well. Make sure that I have the reduction from the gold duck feet, as well as the parsnips and the mushrooms and onions, sort of a little vegetable medley on the plate as well. On the side, I've got the Oddish and Weeping Bell greens, and my finishing touch will be the Execute hollandaise that will be addition, the final finish. I want to make sure that I don't allow that hollandaise to break. It's a very delicate process to make that hollandaise, but it is going to really set off the dish. And so I feel like that finishing touch is going to be what sets me over the top.
You're really walking on a tightrope with this hollandaise.
I know I've never made it myself, but I've watched every person who's ever make it, and every one of them look just super stressed out the entire time.
Every time.
Yeah,
it's like Joe making gravy. I need more flour. I need more flour. Milk.
That's
flour.
He's not joking. Like the phrase "it's ruined" is going to be screamed at least 5 times. I've ruined it. It's not going to turn out, and it always turns out. So let's go ahead and head to the mod office. I need to go and get my hands clean. I'm ready to eat. So wash my hands and do all that.
What have you been doing while we've been cooking?
Well, don't you always wash your hands before you eat?
I mean,
so I'm gonna wash my hands. I've been like, do you not watch these cooking shows? I'm out in bland. I'm walking around I'm walking around the kitchen. I'm critiquing your skills. I'm giving this look
Hopefully
like a Jim
you're
Halpert.
using a sampling spoon.
Yeah, I'm using a sampling spoon. I'm giving the Jim Halpert look to the camera when I see him doing something kind of like
like making a hollandaise on
hollandaise with 2 minutes left.
He does that weird thing. He's using the cast iron skillet. I wouldn't use the cast iron skillet because I'm smart, but this idiot thinks he can pull it off. We'll see if it works out for him. So, yeah, I've been out. I want to make sure my hands are clean for dinner. So let's head to the mod office and we'll get this mother going.
All right. Well, listen, I'm sweaty, tired. I've got my apron just covered in that juice from that Stantler and in the blood of all the Oddish that I have slain in preparation of my dish. However, we want to take a break to just remind you to invite your friends to watch, to listen to our show. Send it to them. Send your favorite episode. Tell them you should check it out. And if you don't have a friend, make a new friend and tell them to check out our podcast. It's the best way we can grow it is just by people making friends and introducing their friends to our podcast. So please do that. Also, head on to social media, follow us, interact with us. We love hearing from people when a new episode comes out, what they think about what we decided to do and what they would have done and how they would have argued. So please send that to us. We love to hear it. And then lastly, if you got any show ideas, send them to us on social media or head over to tmiwpod.com. You can get those to us there. We love to hear those and we love to use them. So do that.
Or you can just shout really loud and we might hear you.
What are you doing in here, Ryan?
Oh, sorry. I'll close the door.
This is my mod office. God. All right. Well, let's get back to the main office. Let's wrap this up and let's let Joe judge our dishes.
At this time, I need you to both bring your plates up to the table. And Josh, go ahead and I need you to tell me how you've decided to plate it and to describe your meal to me.
Yes, Alton, thank you for the opportunity to come in here to TMIW Kitchen. I've really appreciated the opportunity.
Thank you for addressing me on a first name basis. That's very personal. I like that.
You're welcome. Today I have prepared for you a beautiful dish. I have a wonderful loin of Stantler placed upon a streak of delicious Oddish puree. This puree was prepared low and slow throughout the cooking process. Has a very beautiful taste to it that I think you're going to really enjoy. Perched atop the puree, right next to my Stantler loin, is a mixture of root vegetables, including some carrots, onions, and particularly some fungus, a delicious mushroom Pokemon for your enjoyment. And then I've topped that with a sauce that was prepared with the bones of a Stantler, along with some delicious red wine. I have placed that on top of the loin as well as the root vegetable medley. And then I top that all off with just a little bit of flaky salt, as well as some micro herbs and microgreens, just for a little bit of color and added taste. Please enjoy.
Yeah, let me go ahead and take a bite. Very good. Definitely has an earthy taste to it. A little gamey, like a deer steak would be. Cooked well. I do think there's a lot going on this plate. The steak is the star of the show, and I feel like you've almost covered it up a little bit. But I do like the puree a lot. The root vegetables is good. I wish the steak would have been presented more as like the star that it is. And I don't appreciate using the nickname they gave me in middle school, Low and Slow, to describe your dish. That's a sore subject for me, and it's just not nice, Josh. I told you that in confidence.
I apologize. I was just trying to connect with you through my food, and I made a grave error. I apologize.
Well, Ryan, what have you got for me?
Well, Mr. Bland, I'm excited to be here. I really feel like I've learned a lot, and I hope that I can express that through this dish. So what I have for you today is a seared gold duck seasoned in onyx seasoned salt with an execute hollandaise on a bed of roasted vegetables with oddish and weeping bell greens dressed with lemon and oil. You will see the gold duck sliced in medium slices, cooked to a medium rare, a little bit pink in the middle. And those slices are fanned over the top of the bed of vegetables. The hollandaise is gently ladled over the middle of the duck. On the side, we have the weeping bell and oddish greens that is lightly dressed to bring a little bit of brightness and vibrance to the plate. Thank you.
The flavor of the duck really comes out in the bite. The onyx salt gives it a great taste. I just wish there was more salt there. I feel like it was a little under-seasoned, and I think with that kind of meat, there's a lot of fat in the duck or a fowl that soaks up that salt and just maybe needed some more. The hollandaise was a bold choice. You seem to have pulled it off. I'll take another bite here. Can you tell me about the salad one more time?
The salad, these are actually pulled from the oddish and weeping bell greens, generally considered a little bit poisonous, but when they are prepared correctly, they can be quite delicious. And I really wanted to bring some lightness and vibrance to what can be considered a heavier dish.
Okay, now I do have a question for you. In your preparation, you mentioned the duck feet. Are those on the plate?
They are not. They were used as part of the reduction for the vegetables to really bring a richness to the bed of vegetables on which the duck was laying, and just bring another layer of flavor where the hollandaise is going to tie it all together.
Well, these are both very good, very different, but very similar at the same time. You both produced very beautiful cuts of meat with a puree or a sauce on the top of it that were both very good. Your sides were good choices, but there were some times you both missed the mark on the meat. Josh, your venison loin, your Stantler loin, that should have been the star of the show, and it seemed like you tried to cover it up. And Ryan, you made one of the cardinal sins in any kitchen. It seemed to kind of under season your beef, your meat, and especially on a cut from a duck, that seasoning is so vital. I think ultimately what it comes down to is what meal would I want to order again going out? What meal would I want to serve in my home? When it comes down to it, I think I have to go with the Stantler loin.
That is bullshit. Okay, that is bullshit. Number one, because I specifically mentioned aggressively seasoning in the beginning. So the fact that was your critique is complete bullshit, and my dish was better. I'm not to pull a Josh, but my dish was better. And your one critique was actually something that I specifically mentioned. If you go back and listen. So I'm gonna heavily season. So screw you. This is a conspiracy to try to catch up to me on my hot streak.
I'm sorry.
I think you just picked him because you don't want me to win. I don't think that was a legit pick.
I will give Joe this. You were specifically referring to Onyx Rock Salt, which I would think would be a finishing salt if I had to take a guess.
Used it I specifically mentioned I was aggressively seasoning on one side.
Well, you should have more aggressively seasoned both sides.
I guess I should have fictionally prepared this meal better. Screw you.
I fictionally tasted the meal.
Yeah, you just made up things that were wrong.
And I fictionally had the best dish.
Yeah, and my fiction was better than your fiction.
I didn't actually prepare Stantler. Now, I do have a question for you, Ryan.
I won.
You mentioned
all right, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week.
What? I'm just saying, the duck was 5 foot tall. How big were the feet that were in this
couple
sauce?
Of feet.
That dude had to be wearing like 12s. Yeah. That's all I got. Just get us out of here, Ryan.
All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank Elevate for the use of their theme song, Jean Jacket.
Well, I hope you tune in next week. Hopefully, we still have 3 of us to host the show with. I may have upset Ryan too much.
There's going to be a new dad versus dad.
Oh, well, my poor dad is he's just getting targeted by everyone. And he didn't ask for any of this. So in the meantime, until we find out next week if my dad survived the attack by Mr. Story, go ahead and check us out on Instagram. There may be some some reels or some cut-ins of a live fight that he didn't ask for or didn't even know was coming. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that. We'll announce the fight times on there. And also go ahead and find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Napster, LimeWire. We're on all the major sites. Give us a download, subscribe, and give us that rate and review 5 stars. Let everybody know how awesome we are.
If you head over to tmiwpod.com, you will find an aggressively seasoned website that is just ready for you to enjoy. There's ways for you to read about us, learn about us. You can connect with us on social media. You can go buy our merch. Hey, maybe we got some Onyx Rock Salt up there. I don't know. Also, new to the website this week is an entirely new homepage that is just pictures of Ryan's face right now.
It's very red.
He is redder than the times that me and him have enjoyed tacos together. He is so angry, and I am just enjoying how much Ryan is seething. You could say he's aggressively seething. It's so wonderful, and I appreciate every bit of it. And I am just going to rub this in his face so much. I can't thank Joe enough for just ruining Ryan's night. He's going to be barely able to sleep. I'm continuing to filibuster into this podcast just so I can continue to enjoy this face, because the second I stop talking, Ryan is going to interrupt me and try to close out the show.
How can I interrupt you if you stop
to bask in this for even longer. I'm not going to stop talking because I'm just enjoying this. I'm not going to stop talking. I'm going to continue talking.
Well, that's it, folks. Thanks for listening. Tell me I'm wrong. Have a great night.
That's not the ending, Joe.
We don't end it. We may get banned from iTunes for things that are said on this podcast.
I will just like to say I am still in the lead.
You are still in the lead by multiple episodes. This is exactly. I'm sorry. Who knew? Listen, guys, for the record, listeners, I pushed on this Pokemon thing because I was like, I don't know about this episode. They made me do it, and now they're mad at me for choosing.
No. Oh,
Ryan's mad at me for choosing. I'm sorry. Okay.
Well, all right. Well,
send us out.
Josh, just you better hope the next time I'm moderator that you present a good case.
I don't know why you're mad at me. This is all Joe.
Yeah, I'm not winning anymore if Josh is Ryan's the moderator. That's okay.
Josh ain't winning ever again. I mean, Joe.
Josh barely ever wins anyways.
That's true.
That's a good point.
All right. As always, there is one winner, but we're all losers. Later, losers.
See ya!
Gotta cook 'em all. Stanler butt.